Hey, legal drama enthusiasts, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the penultimate episode of Suits LA's first season, episode 12, titled Angry Sylvester. And trust me, this episode delivers some serious fan service while setting up what promises to be an explosive season finale. For those who've been following our weekly breakdowns, you know that Suits LA has been on quite the journey this season. We've watched Ted Black rebuild his firm from the ashes after his falling out with Stewart, navigate complex cases, and deal with his personal demons. But what makes this episode particularly special is how it brings everything full circle while also giving us a treat that fans of the original series have been waiting for. Before we dive into the nitty gritty, my standard reminder this video will contain major spoilers for Suits LA, Season 1, Episode 12. I'm going to break down everything, all the twists, turns, and jaw dropping moments. So, if you haven't watched it yet, now's your chance to pause this video and come back after you've experienced it for yourself. Still with me? Great. For this hour-long breakdown, I'll be covering everything: plot details, character dynamics, Easter eggs, the major cameo that has everyone talking, and of course, setting up expectations for the finale. So grab your coffee, settle in, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our in-depth episode analyses. What's particularly interesting about this episode is how it represents the show's evolution throughout the season. What started as a darker, more intense legal drama has gradually found its comedic voice, and Angry Sylvester leans heavily into that tone shift. The stakes might seem lower than earlier episodes, but the character development more than makes up for it. And with NBC's recent announcement that the show won't be returning for a second season, this episode takes on an even greater significance as we prepare to say goodbye to these characters we've grown to love. So let's dive in and see how the penultimate episode sets the stage for the series finale. Angry Sylvester opens with a familiar sight to longtime Suits fans: a beautifully framed shot of the Los Angeles skyline, a visual callback to how the original series would frequently showcase New York City. The camera then pans down to reveal the now established offices of Black and Associates, Ted's rebuilt firm that has risen from the ashes of his partnership with Stewart. Inside, we find the office buzzing with energy. Ted is in his element, confidently directing his team while juggling multiple high-profile entertainment cases. The firm has clearly found its footing after the tumultuous events of previous episodes. However, this relative calm is quickly disrupted when Erica bursts into Ted's office with news that could change everything. Nicole Kidman, one of Hollywood's most prestigious talents, is looking for new representation. Erica is ecstatic about the possibility of signing such a high-profile client, seeing it as a way to firmly establish Black and Associates as a powerhouse in the entertainment law scene. Ted, however, is unusually hesitant. We learn that Kidman is currently represented by Samantha Wheeler's firm, and after their recent reconciliation, Ted is reluctant to poach a client and risk reigniting hostilities. This creates the first major conflict of the episode: Erica's ambition versus Ted's cautious approach to maintaining professional relationships. Meanwhile, across town, we find Stewart attending his court-mandated anger management sessions, a consequence of his outburst in the courthouse several episodes back. What should be a routine session turns into anything, but when Stewart discovers that another participant in the group is none other than Louis Litt, the legendary character from the original Suits series who has apparently relocated to Los Angeles. Louis, played with delightful intensity by returning actor Rick Hoffman, immediately recognizes Stewart as Ted's former partner and takes an instant dislike to him. What follows is a hilarious battle of wits as these two hot-headed lawyers try to outdo each other in a setting specifically designed to manage such behavior. Their therapist, Dr. Sylvester, hence the episode title, struggles to maintain control as Louis and Stewart turn every exercise into a competition. Back at Black and Associates, Rick is working on securing a dream role for client Dylan Pryor, a talented but overlooked actor who's been struggling to break through in Hollywood. This storyline provides a more grounded, emotional counterpoint to the episode's more comedic elements, as Rick genuinely connects with Dylan's struggle and becomes personally invested in his success. The fourth major plot thread involves Leah, who has been an increasingly important character as the season progressed. After witnessing the intensity and occasional moral compromises required to succeed in entertainment law, she begins questioning her future at the firm. A late night conversation with Ted reveals her concerns about losing herself in the cutthroat world they inhabit. These four storylines interweave throughout the episode, creating a tapestry that showcases both the professional and personal lives of our characters. By the episode's midpoint, Erica has decided to pursue Nicole Kidman against Ted's wishes. Stewart and Lewis have been assigned to work together on a conflict resolution project. Rick has hit a major roadblock in his quest to help Dylan, and Leah has begun exploring other career options. The back half of the episode escalates these conflicts while introducing unexpected resolutions. Erica's pursuit of Kidman leads to a confrontation with Samantha that threatens to undo months of careful relationship building. Stewart and Lewis, after nearly coming to blows, discover they have more in common than they thought and form an unlikely alliance. Rick makes a personal sacrifice to help Dylan get his role, and Leah receives an unexpected offer that could take her away from Black and Associates entirely. By the episode's conclusion, the stage is set for a finale that will resolve these personal and professional dilemmas while potentially reshaping the firm's future. Let's take some time to analyze how our main characters have evolved by this penultimate episode, with particular attention to how Angry Sylvester showcases their growth. Stephen Amell's Ted Black has undergone perhaps the most significant transformation since the series premiere. The angry, haunted former prosecutor we met in episode 1 has gradually found his balance. In Angry Sylvester, we see a Ted who has learned to temper his ruthless instincts with compassion and foresight. His reluctance to pursue Nicole Kidman as a client isn't born from fear or lack of ambition, but from a newfound appreciation for professional relationships and long-term stability over short-term gains. There's a particularly telling scene where Ted reflects on his journey while looking at the LA skyline from his office, a quiet moment that contrasts sharply with similar scenes in early episodes where he would be visited by Eddie's ghost. The absence of Eddie in this episode suggests Ted has made peace with some of his demons, though the subtle way he still glances to his side indicates those wounds haven't completely healed. Erica's character arc has been about finding her voice and place in the firm. By episode 12, she's confident enough to challenge Ted directly when she believes he's making a mistake. Her pursuit of Nicole Kidman as a client isn't just about ambition. It's about proving she has the judgment and initiative to operate independently. The tension between her and Ted throughout the episode showcases how far their relationship has come, evolving from mentor-mentee to something closer to equals who can respectfully disagree. Stuart Lane, played by Josh McDermott, has perhaps had the most unexpected journey. After beginning the series as Ted's partner and friend before betraying him, Stuart has gradually been humanized again. His anger management storyline in this episode reveals vulnerabilities we hadn't seen before, particularly when he admits to Louis that his explosive temper stems from childhood insecurities. McDermott's performance in these scenes is nuanced, balancing comedy with genuine emotional depth. The introduction of Louis Litt into the Suits, L.A. Universe is handled masterfully. Rather than simply playing the greatest hits of the character from the original series, the writers give Louis new dimensions while honoring what fans loved about him. His initial antagonism towards Stewart evolves into reluctant respect, and by episode's end, there are hints that Louis might become a recurring character should the show have continued, making the cancellation announcement all the more disappointing for fans. Rick's storyline with client Dylan Pryor reveals his growth from ambitious self-server to someone genuinely invested in his client's success. When he learns that the only way to secure Dylan's role is to persuade another client to step aside, Rick faces a moral dilemma that tests his character. His ultimate decision to prioritize Dylan's needs, even at professional cost to himself, shows how far he's come from the cutthroat associate we met in episode 1. Perhaps the most surprising character development involves Leah, who began the season as a relatively minor supporting character, but has gradually become the show's moral center. Her questioning of her future at the firm serves as a meta commentary on the legal profession itself. When she tells Ted, "I came here to help people tell their stories, not to bury them," it encapsulates the ethical struggles at the heart of entertainment law that the show has been exploring all season. The way these characters interact in Angry Sylvester demonstrates how their relationships have evolved over the season. Ted and Stewart, once bitter rivals, now treat each other with a wary respect. Erica and Rick, initially competitive colleagues, now support each other's endeavors while maintaining a healthy professional rivalry. And the foundation is laid for new dynamics, particularly between Stewart and Louis, that sadly won't get fully explored due to the show's cancellation. What's particularly impressive about this episode is how it balances character development with the show's gradual tonal shift toward comedy. The Lewis to Stewart anger management scenes are genuinely funny without undermining the emotional growth both characters experience. This balance of drama and comedy represents the show finding its voice, making the cancellation news all the more unfortunate. Now let's break down the most pivotal scenes and moments from this episode, focusing on how they advance the plot and develop our characters. The episode opens with a brilliant cold open featuring Stewart and his anger management group, attempting to explain to Dr. Sylvester why he doesn't need to be there. His monologue about being the most controlled person in Los Angeles is immediately undercut when another participant slightly bumps his chair, causing Stewart to launch into a tirade that perfectly demonstrates why he absolutely does need therapy. This scene efficiently establishes both the episode's comedic tone and Stewart's central conflict. The reveal of Louis Litt occurs about 10 minutes in, when he enters the anger management session late, dramatically apologizing while simultaneously insulting everyone present. The camera lingers on Stewart's shocked expression as he recognizes this legendary figure from the New York legal world. For fans of the original Suits, this moment delivers pure joy. Rick Hoffman slips back into the role of Lewis as if he never left, but with subtle hints that the character has evolved during his time away from our screens. A standout sequence comes when Dr. Sylvester pairs Stewart and Louis together for a role-playing exercise designed to diffuse anger. What should be a simple scenario, negotiating over the last orange in a grocery store, quickly escalates into an absurd legal battle, with both men citing case law, precedents, and eventually resorting to personal insults. The scene is played for laughs but reveals how similar these two characters actually are. Both brilliant lawyers whose emotional insecurities manifest as anger and aggression. Back at Black and Associates, the pivotal confrontation between Ted and Erica regarding Nicole Kidman showcases both characters at their best. Erica's passionate argument about why they should pursue Kidman is countered by Ted's more measured concern about professional relationships. What makes this scene work is that neither character is entirely right or wrong. It's a genuine ethical dilemma with valid points on both sides. When Erica finally says, "You taught me to be ambitious, and now you're telling me to hold back," Ted's conflicted expression shows the contradiction in his own mentoring style. A more subtle but equally important moment comes when Rick meets with Dylan Pryor to discuss the role he's trying to secure for him. The scene takes place in a small, independent theater where Dylan is performing in an off Broadway equivalent show to a nearly empty house. Despite the lack of audience, Dylan's performance is captivating, and we see Rick genuinely moved. This quiet scene establishes why Rick becomes so invested in Dylan's success. It's not just about commission, but about believing in raw talent that deserves recognition. The episode's emotional core comes from Leah's storyline, particularly her late-night conversation with Ted. Finding him alone in his office, Leah confesses her doubts about entertainment law. "Sometimes I feel like we're just moving pieces on a board," she tells him, "making deals instead of making a difference." Ted's response, that even entertainment lawyers can make a difference by helping artists share their vision with the world, reveals his own journey toward finding meaning in his work beyond just winning. The climax of the Stuart Louis storyline comes when they're both kicked out of anger management for their disruptive behavior. Forced to spend time together outside the structured environment, they end up at a bar where, after several drinks, their hostility transforms into a strange camaraderie. Louis shares stories about his time at Pearson Hardman Spectre, subtly referencing events and characters from the original show without turning the scene into pure fan service. Stewart, in turn, reveals his complicated feelings about his breakup with Ted and the firm. By the scene's end, these two seemingly incompatible characters have formed an unexpected bond. Erica's pursuit of Nicole Kidman culminates in a tense meeting with Samantha Wheeler, who immediately sees through Erica's pretenses. Rather than the hostile confrontation we might expect, Samantha offers Erica unexpected advice. If you're going to poach my client, at least be honest about it. This mentoring moment from a character who bridges both Suits series offers Erica new perspective on professional ethics and tactics. The episode's final moment set up the finale perfectly. Ted discovers that Erica went against his wishes regarding Kidman, but instead of anger, shows pride in her initiative while warning of potential consequences. Stewart, influenced by his conversation with Louis, makes a gesture toward reconciliation with Ted. Rick learns whether his efforts for Dylan were successful, and Leah receives an unexpected job offer that could take her away from the firm. The last shot, Ted looking out at the LA skyline as the sun sets, visually symbolizes that the end is near, both for the season and, as we now know, the series. Angry Sylvester represents Suits, LA at its best, highlighting how far the show has come from its somewhat uneven beginning. What makes this episode particularly successful is how it balances multiple elements that haven't always coexisted smoothly in previous episodes. The most notable achievement is the tonal balance. Early episodes of Suits LA seemed determined to differentiate themselves from the original series by adopting a darker, more serious tone. While this approach had its merits, it sometimes felt at odds with the inherently glamorous, somewhat over-the-top world of Los Angeles entertainment law. As the season progressed, the show gradually found its comedic voice, and Angry Sylvester leans into this strength without sacrificing dramatic weight. Louis Litt's guest appearance could easily have been handled poorly, reduced to mere fan service or a distraction from the main cast. Instead, the writers integrate him organically into Stewart's storyline, using the established character to illuminate new facets of our regular cast. The chemistry between Josh McDermott and Rick Hoffman is electric, creating some of the season's most entertaining scenes while also advancing Stewart's character development. The episode's structure deserves praise as well. Juggling four distinct storylines is no easy feat, yet Angry Sylvester gives each plot thread room to breathe while maintaining thematic coherence. Each storyline, in its way, explores questions of professional ethics and personal integrity. Erica weighing ambition against loyalty, Stewart confronting his anger issues, Rick balancing client interests, and Leah questioning her career path. This thematic unity prevents the episode from feeling disjointed despite its multiple narrative threads. Production-wise, this episode showcases the show's visual evolution. The cinematography has become more confident, with the Los Angeles setting utilized more effectively than in early episodes. The lighting in the anger management scenes, for instance, uses harsh fluorescence to create an uncomfortable atmosphere that contrasts with the warm, sophisticated lighting of the law firm, visually reinforcing the character's discomfort. If there's a criticism to be made, it's that some storylines that seemed central earlier in the season, particularly Ted's supernatural visitations from his brother Eddie, have been largely abandoned. While this likely reflects the show finding its identity and moving away from elements that weren't working, it does create some narrative discontinuity when viewing the season as a whole. The performances across the board are excellent, with special mention needed for Josh McDermott, who has the challenging task of holding his own against Rick Hoffman's beloved character. McDermott succeeds by leaning into Stewart's vulnerabilities rather than trying to match Lewis's intensity, creating a complementary dynamic that serves both characters well. Stephen Amell continues to impress as Ted, showing subtle but significant evolution from the character we met in the premiere. The scene where he discovers Erica went against his wishes regarding Nicole Kidman allows Amell to display nuanced reactions: disappointment, respect, concern, and pride, all simultaneously visible in his performance. From a broader perspective, Angry Sylvester represents what Suits LA could have become had it been given more time to develop. The confident handling of both comedy and drama, the well developed character dynamics, and the seamless integration of the original Suits universe all suggest a show that had found its footing and was ready to flourish. This makes the cancellation news particularly disappointing. We're seeing the series at its best just as it's preparing to conclude. Despite this disappointment, there's something to be said for a show ending on a strong note. If Angry Sylvester is any indication, the finale should provide satisfying closure to the character arcs and storylines that have been developing throughout the season. The season and now series finale, titled Freedom, promises to resolve the various storylines set up in Angry Sylvester while providing closure for our characters. Let's examine the clues and setups this episode provides for the finale. First and foremost is the question of Erica's pursuit of Nicole Kidman as a client. The episode ends with Ted discovering Erica's actions but not yet dealing with the potential fallout with Samantha's firm. The title Freedom could refer to Ted giving Erica more autonomy in her professional decisions, recognizing her growth over the season. The preview for the finale shows a tense meeting between Ted, Erica, and Samantha, suggesting this conflict will be central to the episode. Stewart's storyline with Lewis Litt has opened new possibilities for his character. Their unlikely friendship suggests Stewart might be softening his hardline approach to both his professional and personal life. The preview hints that Lewitt might play a role in facilitating some form of reconciliation between Stewart and Ted, potentially bringing the season full circle from their dramatic split in the early episodes. The Freedom title could also apply to Stewart freeing himself from the anger issues that have plagued him. Rick's efforts to secure Dylan Pryor's dream role will see resolution in the finale. The preview shows Dylan on what appears to be a film set, suggesting Rick's efforts were successful. However, there are also hints of complications, with a brief clip showing Rick looking concerned during what seems to be a production meeting. Will Dylan's success come with unexpected challenges? And how will this outcome affect Rick's development as an attorney who genuinely cares about his clients? Perhaps the most intriguing setup for the finale involves Leah's potential departure from Black & Associates. The job offer she receives at the end of Angry Sylvester puts her at a crossroads, and the title Freedom could refer to her liberating herself from a career path that doesn't align with her values. The preview shows an emotional conversation between Leah and Ted, suggesting her decision will have significant impact on both characters. There are also hints in Angry Sylvester that Ted might be contemplating his own future. Several quiet moments show him reflecting on his journey, and there's a subtle suggestion that he might be ready for yet another reinvention. Could the finale see Ted making a dramatic change to his career or the firm's direction? The preview includes a cryptic scene of Ted looking at old photos from his New York days, potentially signaling a reconnection with his past. Additionally, the preview contains a brief glimpse of what appears to be a courtroom scene, suggesting the finale might include one last major legal battle for Ted and his team. This would provide an opportunity for the show to showcase the legal brilliance that has always been central to the Suits franchise. Given the news of the show's cancellation, the finale takes on additional significance as the conclusion not just to the season, but to the entire series. While the writers couldn't have known this when crafting the episode, Angry Sylvester fortuitously sets up potential closure for all major characters and storylines. The preview's final shot, Ted standing alone on his office balcony watching the sunset, has new poignancy as not just a season finale image, but the final moments we'll spend with these characters. Angry Sylvester represents Suits, LA at the height of its powers, delivering compelling character development, engaging storylines, and a successful tonal balance that previous episodes sometimes struggled to achieve. The introduction of Louis Litt from the original series is handled with care and purpose, enhancing rather than distracting from the show's established characters. What makes this episode particularly bittersweet is how clearly it demonstrates what the series could have become given more time. After finding its footing and establishing its own identity distinct from yet respectful of the original suites, the show is ending just as it hits its stride. The confident handling of multiple storylines, the well developed character dynamics, and the seamless blend of drama and comedy all suggest a series that had tremendous potential for future seasons. The performances across the board are excellent, with Josh McDermott and Rick Hoffman creating an unexpectedly delightful dynamic as Stuart and Louie. Stephen Amell continues to bring depth and nuance to Ted Black, while the supporting cast has evolved from stock characters into complex individuals with their own compelling arcs. As the penultimate episode, Angry Sylvester succeeds in setting up what promises to be a satisfying finale. Each character stands at a crossroads, facing decisions that will determine their future paths. Erica must deal with the consequences of her ambition. Stuart is reconsidering his approach to both his career and personal life. Rick is learning what it means to truly advocate for a client. And Leah is questioning whether entertainment law aligns with her values. For fans of the original Suits, this episode offers a perfect blend of nostalgia and fresh storytelling. Louis Litt's appearance provides a welcome connection to the parent series while the episode remains firmly focused on developing its own characters and universe. It's a testament to the writer's skill that Louis feels like an organic addition rather than a stunt casting. The news of the show's cancellation inevitably colors our perception of this episode and the upcoming finale. What would have been exciting setups for second season storylines now become elements that need resolution in the final episode. However, based on how Angry Sylvester handles its multiple plot threads, there's reason to be optimistic that the finale will provide satisfying closure. What did you think of this episode? Were you excited to see Louis Litt return to the Suits universe? Do you think Erica made the right call pursuing Nicole Kidman as a client? And what are your predictions for how the series will wrap up these characters' stories? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share with your fellow legal drama enthusiasts. Even though Suits LA is coming to an end, I'll be covering the finale next week and potentially exploring other shows in this genre if there's interest. Until next time, this is Amelia, 2.00, making sense of the legal chaos, one episode at a time.